In this video, I'm going to give a detailed step-by-step guide on how you can use fermented feed in poultry, most especially for your broilers that are consuming much feed. I'm also going to give you a bonus tip on how to check your birds to know that the feed fermentation is good for them or it's beneficial for them. Please, if this is your first time of coming across my video, kindly help me to grow my channel by clicking the subscribe button and turn on the bell icon so that you don't miss important upload. Give this video a thumbs up and drop your questions in the comment section. Don't forget to share so that others can benefit. Thanks. For some time now, I have been discussing about fermentation, and this is due to the fact that the cost of feed for poultry accounts for 70 to 80% of the total cost of production. So how can you reduce this so that you get more profit for you to reduce your feed cost? And how do you reduce your feed cost is to undergo feed fermentation process. The essence of feed fermentation, like I said in my previous video, is that it expands the feed by increasing the volume of the feed, and not only that, it also makes the birds to easily digest the food and get the best out of them. Like I said, the first thing that you need to do if you want to start feed fermentation process is that I would advise you to start early. That means if you are bringing in your birds, you should introduce it to them at a very early stage so that they can get used to it. And before you do that, you have to choose the right feed base. You use your regular feed. This could be broiler, starter, grower or finisher, or grains like maize, sorghum, wheat bran or soya bean meal. The step 2 is to prepare the fermentation container. All you need for the fermentation container is mostly you should use food graded container like plastic, and I don't advise you to use iron or steel because they can get corroded and they can alter the fermentation process. So you should use a clean plastic drum, a bucket or a container that has a loose lid. That means it should not be airtight. Like I said before, you should avoid metal containers, mostly because the acid from the fermentation can corrode this metal. This is something that you shouldn't joke with. Then the next step you have to do is to add water. When you are adding water, you just mix the feed with clean chlorine-free water at a ratio of 1 part of feed to 1.5 to 2 parts of water. And when you do it like this, you will discover that the water will completely cover the feed by about 2 to 3 centimeters. The fourth step is to inoculate, and when you inoculate, this is a very good step you should follow, but it is not compulsory. It is optional, but for a better result, I will advise you to use it. Inoculating is simply by adding a starter or a booster to boost the good bacteria growth. And this, like I said, it is optional, but it is better, or you get the best result if you include it. Can be a handful of already fermented feed, that is one, or you can use some natural probiotics like unflavored yogurt. You can also use apple cider vinegar or whey. These are very good bacteria booster. Now the fifth point is the fermentation process. After you've done all this, you just have to cover it loosely and let it sit for 24 to 48 hours. And in the process of this, you have to stir like 2 to 3 times daily to avoid the bad odors and mold from growing. When the feed is properly fermented, it should have a very pleasant sour smell, just like yogurt or palm wine, and it should not be rotten. Now, this is a very important step I want to talk about, and this is where most farmers get it wrong, is the process of feeding the birds. But before I tell you about this step, please kindly help me to grow my channel by clicking the subscribe button and turn on the bell icon so that you get notified anytime I upload a new video. Don't hesitate to give this video a thumbs up and share so that others can benefit. This point is very important, and it is what you just need to do is to drain the excess water before feeding to your birds. This is a very, very important step. Some farmers will just scoop it from inside the bucket and give to their birds like that. This is wrong. Make sure to drain the excess water before feeding. The essence of doing this is to avoid overly wet droppings. Like I said in my previous video, some farmers, when they discover that the birds are defecating watery things, they will stop. This is one of the reasons why they are having wet droppings. It could be that the feed was not properly drained. Another thing that you should do is you start by replacing 10 to 20% of daily feed with fermented feed. You don't just switch directly to fermented feed. If you are giving them 50 kg feed per day, then you have to give them 40 kg of dry feed and 10 kg of the fermented feed at a start. Then gradually you increase the fermented feed and reduce the regular dry feed until it gets to a state of equilibrium whereby it will now be 50-50. After 50-50, you now gradually increase the fermented feed and reduce the regular dry feed, whereby the fermented feed will now be more than the regular dry feed. In this process, you are training your bird system to adjust gradually to the fermented feed. As you are doing this, you should watch out for the bird's response for like 2 to 3 days, and if it is positive, gradually you will now increase to 30%, from 30% to 40%, from 40% to 50% of the diet, and before you know it, they will get used to the fermented feed. Then you cannot rule out the dry feed completely. Another thing that you need to do is to monitor the birds. Now, what are the things that you are to monitor? One, you check the droppings. They should be firmer and not watery. Then you should watch the growth activity of the birds. The birds should remain active with good appetite. And you should also stop immediately if you notice foul odor feed or unusual bird behavior. Another thing that you need to do is that you should use fresh and don't store for too long. If you take this for granted, it's going to affect your birds negatively, most especially in hot climates or in dry period or dry season. You should only ferment what you can feed within 1 to 2 days. It shouldn't exceed this 1 to 2 days, because if it goes beyond these days, the process of you draining out the water, opening it, there is high chances of contamination. Long storage can encourage this harmful bacteria or mold. Let me tell you the benefits that you will derive if you are able to get it right and you give your birds fermented feed. There will be a better feed conversion. That is, the birds will eat less feed and they will gain more weight within a short period of time. Then the feathers or the plumage colors, the plumage will be very bright and the birds will be more active. Another thing that you will also notice is that there will be, normally poultry has bad odor, but if you give your birds fermented feed, the bad odor will reduce drastically in the poultry farm. Then there will be lower feed cost, most especially if you are using agro waste or byproducts. But because you have broilers, there will be lower feed. So if your broilers at the end of the day are consuming 50 kg of feed, of the dry feed, if you are using fermented feed, there is every tendency that they will not consume more than 30 to 35 kg bag of feed. Thereby you are saving a whole lot for your profit. I believe you've gotten tangible information from this video, so kindly help me to grow my channel by simply subscribing at no extra cost to you, to turn on the bell icon so that you get notified anytime I upload a new video. Don't hesitate to give this video a like, comment and share so that others can benefit. Thanks.